Ladies and gentlemen, we get patch notes and there are quite some surprises in there, especially in the general changes and improvement area. But let's start from the very tibbity-tobbity. We get 4 new tower map areas: Alpine Ridge, Bluff, Mesa, and Sinking Spire. And the Lost Tower map is also being revamped as it was quite boring to play. Then the Arbiter of Ash boss fight now has a respawn. You're not dead and it's gone, one hit over, nah. You now have 6 chances to actually beat him, and you get automatically spawned. If you leave the map, it's still forfeit, but as long as you stay, respawn until you're out of tries. Map areas now contain a minimum of 3 rare monsters. Sometimes you did join a map and there is 1 rare monster, that's it, map over. Citadels will now appear closer to the Ziggurat Refuge, and there will be a white beam coming down that shows you where they are. Improve the visibility of citadels on the endgame map, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Maps now display their biome, which is useful if you don't know that Savannah is the desert biome for more Trial of Sekhemos tokens, if you choose the Atlas points. And then we're getting the new Overseer Precursor tablet. This will add bonus bosses to maps. They'll drop from bosses, and they can roll exclusive modifiers that affect bosses. Maybe we can get double the bosses from that more often, triple the bosses. I would like to fight a triple boss. Map areas have been adjusted to have more distinct specialities for the content they contain. For example, one map area might have more total number of monsters, while another is more likely to contain additional content such as strongboxes, essences, or shrines. Generally speaking, the more difficult a map is to clear, or the smaller it is, the more axes it will specialize in. Generally speaking, a number of maps spawn double the number of chests and twice as many magic or rare chests. A number of maps now contain double monsters. Number of maps contain more magic monsters, more rare monsters, have higher minimum number of rare monsters you will encounter. Okay, lower minimum number of rare monsters, more essence, strongboxes, shrines. A wholesale boost in maps, making them more interesting. Maps that are only exclusively found in biomes containing citadels now have a 50% more chance to contain essences, strongboxes, and shrines. Unclaimed hideout areas now have a substantially more magic monsters and fewer rare monsters. Whoop whoop. Monsters in the Untainted Paradise have been breeding. Untainted Paradise now contains 100% more monsters, of which spawn 100% more, thus quadruple magic and rare monsters. Oh, okay. Improve the highlightability and clickability of shrines. Yeah, please, this one. How often have I died not being able to click a shrine? Jesus. Reduce the damage scaling of monsters in simulacrum encounters with added difficulty. And there's more bosses than ever, 1 in every 4 map now. That was what it used or supposed to be, but it kind of bugged and now it works. The chance of map bosses to drop a waystone of the current tier or higher has been reduced to account for the increase in total number of map bosses. I don't like that. That was the way how you sustain. Generally more bosses still though, give me. The Radiant Waystone Atlas notable passive now provides 15% chance for map bosses to drop a waystone of the current tier. That used to be 25. And the small map boss waystone chance passive now provides 6 instead of 10. I don't like this change. They could have just left it. People are struggling with waystones, don't make it harder. The I'm Not Afraid of You Delirium Atlas passive skill now grants Delirium bosses in your map drop 100% increased simulacrum splinters. Previously 50. That's pretty good. I like that. Reduce the number of monsters and small chests from breaches by 15%. That was to be expected. Increase the amount of simulacrum splinters found in maps by 20. That is great. And very important, increased how far you can zoom out of the endgame map. People hated that. You want to like zoop, especially if you have 200 hours in the endgame already. Now, what for skill changes? And this is super tiny. Supercharged Slam now has each successive aftershock gains bonus radius up to 3 meters. That used to be uncapped. Then Scavenged Plating now scales with the rarity of the enemy. If you break the armor on a boss, you straight away get 10 stacks. That's pretty cool, because otherwise you would get 1 single stack and not much armor increase, so that kind of stinks. The Lightning Bolt skill granted by the Choir of the Storm unique amulet has been renamed to Greater Lightning Bolt to differentiate it from the skill granted by Staves. Triggered Greater Lightning Bolts are now unable to trigger a subsequent Greater Lightning Bolt if the first was a critical hit. Okay. Temporalis body armor can't reduce a skilled cooldown below 100 milliseconds. Skilled socketed meta gems can no longer gain energy. Clarified the Vine Arrow's description to explicitly state that it hits enemies on landing. and remove the aura tag from a pain offering as it doesn't really make an aura. Monster changes are quite interesting and varied. For example, Rudia, the Dread Engineer's grenades deal less damage in cruel end maps because she was kinda nuking. The same goes for Filthy Crones no longer projectile vomit into your face because that's kinda rude. And is now a basic projectile attack, and I gotta say I was scared of these ladies, the fat flying crones. They tend to kind of destroy you sometimes on maps and was weird. The same as the axe throwing distance of Vile Axemen. If you get Act 3 the first time, barely have any armor, they have almost a screen-wide axe throwing that destroys you. And most importantly, this was mentioned, the Mighty Silver Fist commando skill now deals significantly less damage, doesn't just randomly one-hit you. Lastly, energy shield modifiers on monsters now provide far more sensible levels of energy shield. I was fighting a tier 17 boss, so tier 15 corrupted, irradiated, something, and he didn't have that much HP, but he had like multiple million energy shield. It was so weird. I took so long to deplete his energy shield, and then his HP, dead. Thank you very much. Now to the general changes, and I promised you they're becoming interesting. Enabled migrating from solo self-found leagues to their corresponding parent leagues, standard or hardcore. This can be done from the league migration button on the character selection screen. And I like this, because maybe you are stuck. Maybe you really can't get further, or you made a mistake to go into solo self-found. And you can now migrate your character over to the normal league to then trade or play with your friends. Or you're just fed up and you want to finally progress because you haven't found anything. I think that's pretty good. Strongboxes have been adjusted to spawn faster, thank you, and they do less of that stupid annoying fog, which was really clouding everything. Charms now play an effect on your character when they are automatically used. This is good because I never know if my charm does anything, if it was used, if it wasn't used. Thank you very much. And sockables such as runes can now be overwritten, and that goes for all socketables. So if you use the soul cores or the runes, you can oversocket it. Now to the armor buff, it is 15%. Don't know if that's enough, but they said they need to go back to the office and talk about this more, that the armor problem is more severe than they thought it would be. Just 15%? Pain? I mean, I don't think that's remotely enough, but at least it's something. It's better than nothing. More monsters are now able to be pushed while dodge rolling. This generally applies to most monsters smaller than a skeleton. That's very important because there's still some monsters that keep you boxed in and you really start panic rolling because you're used to pushing most away now. And then it's suddenly like, oh my god, I can't do this on that specific mob, I'm dead. Then rituals or spawning omens more likely, and reduce the chance for items to roll some of the less desirable item modifiers like light radius, accuracy, and other stuff. Dankeschön. Expedition vendors are finally useful because the rarity of items at the expedition vendor shop now increases with shop levels, so shops generally have more rare items at higher levels. This does not affect existing shops, and you will need to use the reroll currency to generate shops with improved rarity. Keep that in mind. Still have the standard, at least reroll once. If you don't have the coins, just trade them at the currency exchange. They're cheap. And finally, Elva can also gamble in your hideout. You do not have to teleport out and in anymore. She does what she's supposed to do also in your hideout. This one is written weird. Reviving minions that died from being out of range of you now instead immediately revive near you. Sounds weird, but it was always that if they die out of range because you're running too fast and too far, you would get the timer of 7 seconds until they come back, or whatever you have. But now have them immediately revive near you is perfect. Like, they teleport pretty much next to you, as they should. Why should I be punished for being faster than my minions or my minions getting stuck? Boom, they're coming straight away. That's amazing. Now we have tons of unique item changes, and I'll list the patch notes in the description below because, yeah. I mean, if your respective unique was affected or not, you can read or just see as soon as the patch notes hit, but these are all the, like, seriously. Every single unique more or less got something. Some more resistance, armor, chaos resistance. They do some more damage. Yeah. You can understand. I'll not read all of these out. Like, if you have one that you're interested in, just press the Control F and find out. And that gets followed up by tons of bugs being fixes, namely more client and instance crashes, which I'm happy about. I would hope that they also fix the weird lag that sometimes appears, but I guess the servers are just shoddy as they are. Controller receives further improvements as well. So far, haven't heard many complaints apart from very specific skills that don't seem too good. And at the very end, an interesting piece of news. There are also a handful of changes we didn't get quite ready yet. And that's the map Waystone stash tabs. They're about to come. Just not yet, but they're so close. They're so close. We're soon going to be getting that. And the multiple respawns for not only the Arbiter, also for King of Mist, for each zone, Alris, everyone. Good things coming. Thank you, GGG, for those banger patch notes. And if you're now looking for a brand new character to play with those, Ranger Merc. Ranger Merc. Delete your actual Merc. Ranger Merc is better. Enjoy.